Don't know what should I say about science because I myself is not trained in any typical discipline of agricultural sciences. So I disqualify for that in that sense. But still I'll try to share my views from a common person's perspective. Like what do I feel about the science being in the other side of the stream? Uh, so I'm not going to give you any data regarding all the scientific aspects of conventional farming system or natural farming system or any other farming system because this generation is very smart. You can just Google search for anything you want to. So this is not going to be the focus of my space now. And generally, when we talk about science, the common people understand that hardcore scientific disciplines like physics, chemistry, things like that, or agricultural sciences, or engineering, technology, and say biotechnology, medicine, things like that. We have successfully created a boundary between science and the society. We have successfully created a boundary between arts and science. So the typical education system have kept us away, the mass, I'm talking about the mass, from science. So it has belonged to a class. So when we talk about science, we think about only scientists looking at the labs. I asked some children before coming here, what do you mean by science and how do the scientists look like? They made the cartoon of lab where the test tubes are there and the scientists are sitting with the specs. So this is what we understand in common parlance. Then before this chemical, synthetic agrochemical based agriculture has come, what was there? It was all natural farming, it was all organic farming. Our farmers have successfully developed lakhs and lakhs of varieties. They domesticated animals, they domesticated crops, they designed their instruments, they cultivated plants in many different terrains, they understood their weather, they understood their seed, soil, water, everything. But what happened in all these few decades, in the last few decades, that we have told that everything you common people have is not enough to feed the millions of mouths. We just discarded everything completely, and that itself is not a scientific attitude at all. Without, we have committed a historical mistake in research work without understanding both sides, without focusing on both sides like natural farming research or say organic farming research and chemical farming research. We just focused on one side. So we were quite partial in our research. Because you are funded to do research in that way. Like do research only for certain things which will please others, certain communities. So it was more than science, it was more of business, more of politics. It happened in many countries, not only in India. And the logic was just one, that we have to feed the hungry. And unfortunately, we still have hungry people all over the world, despite all the investments we made. So I don't blame science for that. Thankfully, in the whole process, they gave us many sciences for which I don't have to really advocate for natural farming at all. It has not become a debate anymore. Because we have found out, our scientific community has found out, humus is the best. If you don't have humus, good quality soil won't be there. And how do you do farming for a longer time? Can we just sustain on tablets and capsules? So it's not a question of food security alone. If you ask me to differentiate between chemical-based farming and natural farming, I will say that chemical-based farming talks about food security alone or yield enhancement alone. But here we have to talk about food security plus, soil security, water security, even our biodiversity security, only not only for our generation, also for our future generation. So it's security for multiple generations, not just for one generation, our generation. It's not like that. If we are doing that, then we commit a mistake, and it's a historical mistake. We kill our future generations, depriving them from soil, water, biodiversity, and many other things. So, let me tell one small experience from a scientific institute and how I was totally disheartened by that. I, with my father, visited a scientific institute belonging to ICR. I wanted to meet the chief head of the institution there. So after waiting for some time, he invited us to the room. And when we went there, he said that, what are you doing? I said that we are trying to do little bit work on organic farming. He exploded and he gave us 45 minutes lecture that if we do organic farming, people will die of starvation. So after finishing that, when he adjusted his stuff, I asked that, yours is a research institution, right? He said yes. I said that, what is the percentage of your budget allocated to organic farming research, at least for last 5 years, if not before? He said nothing. It was sometimes back, not now. Nowadays some research is going on there also. So I said that without doing a research in a research institute, how can you, being a scientist, conclude that if we follow organic farming, people will die out of starvation? Is it a scientific attitude at all? So what does science do? It inquires, it investigates, it asks us to look for the truth. Even if it is partial truth, temporary truth, but we investigate, we try to find out what is there. My farmers, our farmers, may not be able to speak in our language what academicians, scientists say, but they know many things. And let us, we scientific community, work with them. Instead of disrespecting them, their knowledge, try to find out what is there. And that will be the real science. We should not again commit a mistake by neglecting, disrespecting the knowledge they have. This is most important thing. And the other thing is what our research policy need to recognize and allocate also a fair amount, equal amount of budget for research on natural farming and organic farming. This is very, very important. If we don't do that, then again we will have the problem. In fact, it's very interesting. Fortunately, the conventional science has already established many things, as I gave the example of soil. Humus. Humus is very much important. You just tell people to experiment, put some cow dung, leaf litter in a pot and little bit of soil, and take same soil in another pot and put only urea, groma, whatever chemicals you are using. Water it every alternative day and see what happens after 20 days or 30 days. They themselves will tell you what happens there. So what changes happen? And they all know it, it's not that they don't know it. Only thing is we have to communicate in their language. So for all these things, our curriculum need to be redesigned. As our research agenda need to be redesigned, our curriculum also need to be redesigned. Fortunately, we have vice chancellors here, and one vice chancellor dared to confer a doctorate degree on me. I really appreciate that move. Being a farmer, he recognized that. So we need to redesign our curriculum research agenda to suit to our farmers' needs, to suit our planet's needs. It's people and planet. And all the kinds of biocides we use, name whatever it is. Weedicide, fungicide, insecticide, rodenticide, whatever name you gave. Don't you know that they all kill? We all know that they kill. If I consume the same paraquat, I die. You say that she consumed poison and died. But if I use that in the field, you say that it's weedicide. So they are all biocides. Don't we know that it's already established? The research already have informed us that many of the pesticides that being used by the chemical farmers are carcinogenic, highly carcinogenic, mutagenic, they have spermicidal, ovicidal effect. They have many other like endocrine disruptors, genotoxic, neurotoxic, many things are there. We already know about it. Research has established that. When do we recognize all these things and then say that okay, if this is all true, we should discard them. We should find out something else. Just because something else is not existing, we should not say that natural farming is not possible. Till 1950, people were thinking, till 1960, people were thinking that going to moon is impossible because the energy used during that time for mobility, for transport, was based on coal. So if the distance from Earth to moon is so much, how much coal need to be carried to cover that distance? So it is impossible to reach to moon. So as long as you don't have a technology available, we always say that it is impossible. Same thing happened with organic farming and natural farming. Okay, that's the story of soil, that's the story of biocide. Coming to the growth hormones. If we use growth hormones to make your chicken fatter within a certain period of time, to make your goats bigger in a short period of time, then don't you think that it also affects us? I have seen while working with women, many women are suffering from menstruational disorders. Girls are having periods very early at the life, which should not be the normal thing. So many disrupts and many miscarriages are happening. We don't take notice of all this because we say that is the domain of health experts. But health, food, all these things are so much interrelated, we forget that. We don't look at things in a very holistic manner. It is high time we have to do that. Then we also have experienced that what happens when our genetic basket is narrowed down. When we have just one or two varieties of crops. We experienced that in Odisha. Unfortunately, Sir was there, Professor Raul was there in extension at that time. We have BPH problem which affected 24 districts. Few varieties were affected very widely. So it was, I say that it's like a kind of collapse of that variety. And if we go on promoting few varieties, then hybrids, then GMOs, we know what is going to happen in this era of climate uncertainties. What will happen to the nutrition? Soil nutrition, human nutrition, animal nutrition, all these things. If we close our eyes, we don't see all these things. If we keep our eyes open, science has already proved that. Yeah, wider the genetic basket, safer we are and more stable we are. Then, if we know that more the soil life is, more rich soil life we have, we are going to have a soil security. And when we do soil testing, what do? We sterilize the soil. We kill all the living forms and then give you a report which is called soil health card. Is it not funny? How do you assess the soil life there? For a living soil, we need more life forms there. And more life forms cannot be created by chemical management. It's very clear. So we have to do more research for natural farming for some other reason. These are all established things which really strengthen our cause for natural farming, our case for natural. What do we have to do? We should not be restricted ourselves to few formula like Jivamrut, Vijamrut, things like that. If I have goat as a small marginal farmer, Adivasi farmer, I should know how to make good goat manure. If I come from a lowland, I have a lot of aquatic weed, I should know how to make good compost from aquatic weed. It should be based on the local resources, not on few formula, and then standardize it and look at the same thing like conventional farming system, do calendar spraying, calendar application of manure. It's not like that. It's not filling up farms. It's, people find it easy to fill up the forms. We did this, and the result is this. It's nothing like that. If I have oil cake, let me apply oil cake. If I have a lot of paddy straw, let me make it biochar or let me use it for mulching and then find out what it is. So, I'll give you another small example. I know the bell is ringing, I should finish it now. So, when you advise for liquid manure, it works very well. This is a common understanding. It helps in creating more soil biota. But if my soil is very sandy, if my land is sloping, it doesn't work well because it leaches, it flows down. So what do you suggest then? It's not the liquid manure we suggest something else. We have to be very clear about this kind of research. And when we have damaged our land and the whole ecosystem for a very long time systematically, the repair will take longer time. And we need to provide proper technologies because we cannot afford to have a reduction in yield drastically. Because we damaged it, we have a serious problem. Like for cancer treatment, you need a different type of intervention. Yeah, thank you. So we have to keep our labs open for the farmers. I challenge all the mainstream institutions, please allow our farmers to test their techniques free of cost. That will help both the sides. If I have made any formula, then please help me to test it free of cost so that you can scale up. So each farm is different, each farmer is different. We cannot have a very uniform system. We have to appreciate diversity. I left out seed issue, and that is very important. We cannot afford to have few seeds. We need to have indigenous seeds. We need to recognize our uncultivated food, natural food that we are growing, and we have to make it for the mass. The food should be available for the mass, not for the class. Then only people will start appreciating it. So the most important thing is how do we communicate science of natural farming in people's language. Lok bhasha mein bolna hai. How do I translate all these things, most complicated things, in the most simple way that my non-literate farmer woman can understand this. In the era of robotization, mechanization, digitization, genetic revolution, it's a big challenge for us. When we encourage drone didis at one time to spray chemicals, it's very challenging to do natural farming in the adjoining village there. So we have to think about all these things. We have to think about the holistic view. We cannot see science and societies separately. It should be socio-technical. Yeah, thank you so much once again for giving me this opportunity.